introduction, and thank you again to Lee Herrick. Your poems were amazing, and I think I can speak for every young writer in the room when I say you're such a role model for all of them. And before I read my poems today, I'd also like to give a little speech of my own. I'd like to briefly honor my city and the reasons why I'm here today. So thank you to Mayor Eddie Flores and the library under the leadership of City Librarian Valerie Somers, who helped launch this Youth Poet in Residence program in South San Francisco. Thank you also to Martin Pinel, the former administrator of this program, who I worked closely with to create my chapbook, The Long Way Home. I'd also like to thank former Mayor Carol Matsumoto, who helped establish this program. All of these people have helped me find my voice in this community and have helped me make writing such an important part of my life. I'd also like to recognize some people who are personally special to me, like DCPLA's Executive Director, Victoria McElon, Administration Manager at San Mateo County's Office of Arts and Culture, Mara Grimes, two of my Poetry Out Loud coaches, Lisa Rosenberg and Caroline Goodwin, and Aileen Casaneto, who helped put this entire event together. I would not be where I am today without you all, and I'm so grateful to have grown as a writer and youth poet laureate beside you. It means a lot to me that South San Francisco is not only the biotech capital of the world, but also a cultural hub that celebrates the work of poets and artists like myself. I've loved growing up here over the past couple of years, especially with this new library. My friends and I come here to study all the time. I also love Orange Park, where my family and I go on walks, and Burry Park, where I play tennis with my brother. All of these things about the city make it feel like home, and I'll always be grateful to be here. And I'm especially grateful that I get to represent and unite my community here tonight as well. So, thank you. So I have 3 poems to read tonight. The first one is titled For the Animal Who Watches Me. I wrote this one a while ago, and it's about my Burmese heritage. For the animal who watches me. 1. On the 20th of November, my lover tells me, I don't feel like myself. 5 words that only say so much about our new state of being. Today, the wheat field splinters itself to fractions, knife cut and rope burned in Kansas sun. Dirt blackened. In times like this, I cannot stop thinking of my missing parts. My breath frozen in my throat, she stares back at me. And I try to forget the circuits I lack. My head is spinning, a mechanical thing jackknifing to a faster resolution. A Buddhist perfect for an American christening. 2. Still, there are other names to call myself. Because of this, I am laughing when I take the back road home from her apartment, already forgetting the things I said to her pretty face, already forgetting why I even left. In 6th period AP Biology, my teacher tells us how ovalbumin and dialysis bags can be used to model molecular transport. Transport, huh? Mouthless and rooted to the driver's seat in my father's pickup, I watched the traffic lights change color. Tomorrow, my cousin will move from Myanmar to the States. Then, I will get to say he was killed in America instead. 3. To my lover, I say sorry. No one is left to beg the question or beg the creator. On the 21st of November, I forget my body is a curved and rusted thing, all my fingernails turning to soot under the ocean's tides, all of my ribs goalposts. I forget the animal by the star-sprung forest who watches me always. He reeks of first blood. I forget my skin and bones are made of stillness, of burning things and organs for the metaphysical. My Amma wishes I was a better liar. So do I. In Yangon, my people are beautiful and victorious. So the story goes. 4. The world calls my people victims. Believing that I am the most hateful of Burma's daughters, I forget my brain turns to gluttony just the same. My lover, beware of men who wear your tongue as your armor, flesh and membrane that untether to swallow you whole. Mass mutinies held in the softness of your language. The All-American Dust Bowl, eulogized in purple light. The animal who watches me, always. Oh, darling, do not forget we all wait for a cannibalistic end. 5. Under the half-moon sky, my lover will meet me where the rivers run red. Here, she tells me, I dream of consequence. Thank you. So this is my second poem. This one is titled Final Letter During End-Stage Disease. I wrote this during my time at the Iowa Young Writers Studio this summer, and it takes on a fictional story where I'm embodying someone who is writing to your grandmother. Final letter during end-stage disease. Dear Amma, I should apologize in advance for the carcass I am about to become. No smart man would want to be the dog in a dog fight. He should instead place bets. I am apologizing because I have no money for bets. Soon we'll be in a brighter place. All your longing cannot summon God, even if you try. And you did try. This morning, I witnessed an execution, watched a farmer feed the limbs of a premature calf to his pigs. I clasped this idea between my hands like it was worth wanting, because if nothing else, at least I'd survived long enough to see something die. But before midday, the idea had rotted through my fingers, looking for a new host. Truth is, any body will fight before it turns to corpse, before it turns to flesh for pigs. Only silence then would be a sign of death. So I am writing you this letter. Write death as sacrifice. Write absence as incentive. Write slaughter as you would do it too, if you needed to survive. I will never know less than I do now. But Amma, I wish I knew survival instead. I wish I knew a way to draw out the marrow in my bones, split my lifeline between my teeth, and weave it to twice its length. Still, there is nothing as prodigal as a son returning home. Still, I grieve for a death which I have not yet suffered. Common story. Man reaches afterlife and understands he's bound for heaven. But I cannot give heaven a name, even if I tried, even if it stood across from me. Though I did try. And eventually, the syllables molded themselves into the image of your face. Dear Amma, I don't remember your age or my height during the diagnosis, but I remember I was little. I remember watching the bodies of mayflies float downstream in the river, sun melting above our heads. The whole season we laughed. The wind distracting from the illness that had already set itself into my bones. I asked you then if you believed in karma. You thought and thought, but had no answer. This is titled Conversation After Abandonment. And I'm also realizing now, as I'm reading these poems, they're all kind of like sad, but I hope the vibes are good. I also wrote this one recently. This is also a fictional piece. and it was pretty experimental, so I hope you like it. Conversation after abandonment. The radio man was whispering something over the line, and you were dead. I was still on the phone and still on the line, and you were dead when I got the news. I slammed the brakes and killed the engine, and the radio man stopped whispering. My phone went on. Are you there? The woman was saying. I know this can be a lot to handle. I hung up. I was staring down the road, the night as dark as a funeral. It's true. When I was 14, I fell in love with the wrong boy, and many things went to hell because of it. Nowadays, I'm just so beautiful on my own. But back to your death. You know I've been losing myself in hotel rooms for a long time now, clawing out of a body that doesn't belong to me, looking up at the lights, like I would always belong in this kind of place. With people in every room down the hall, and my emptiness rotting its way through old mattresses. On the fourth floor balconies, trying to press my heartbeat back to home, back to your death. What can I even say to you? Saying anything would be acknowledging that things had gone so wrong. You know I've always been selfish. The road was so dark. I could have mistaken the moon for a floodlight. It was so silent. I stared at the deer crossing signs as if they moved. My longing had always been nonsensical. I am always broken down to my smallest parts, and I fell in love with you when I was 14, and now I know of deconstruction only. 14, before I ever got my license. We were running across the country road, mid-autumn, midday. I was chasing you, and you stopped, like a deer in headlights. And when you turned back to face me, you smiled, as if searching for a grave to bury yourself. The engine killed, the radio man silent on the line. I'm thinking about this still, how you turned back to me and smiled. And I'm thinking, please, let me tell you about afterwards. Let me tell you what happens afterwards.